Something significant happened recently in Mecca. Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Pakistan have signed the Mecca Joint Defense Agreement, a trilateral security pact built around one very consequential principle. An attack on one will be considered an attack on all three. Now, grounded in the right of collective self-defense under Article 51 of the UN Charter, the obvious question is, does this amount to an Islamic NATO? I'd say not quite. There is no permanent integrated military command, no joint standing force, and many of the operational details remain unclear. But strategically, this could also mark the beginning of something significant, a new security architecture emerging from within the region itself. And to understand its potential, look at what each country brings to the table. Pakistan, one of the region's most battle-hardened militaries and the Muslim world's only nuclear-armed state. Turkey, NATO standard military expertise, one of the alliance's largest armed forces, and of course an increasingly sophisticated domestic defense industry, from drones and missiles to warships and electronic warfare. And Saudi Arabia, of course, enormous financial power, economic influence, and the resources to help underwrite a long-term collective security architecture. Put those three together and you have a formidable strategic triangle: military power, defense technology, and financial muscle. Why now? That's a very important question, because the security map of the Middle East is changing. For decades, much of the region's security architecture rested heavily on American power, but recent conflicts, from missile and drone attacks to threats against critical energy infrastructure and strategic waterways such as Strait of Hormuz and Bab el-Mandab, have exposed a fundamental vulnerability. Traditional U.S. security partnerships do not automatically provide a comprehensive shield against every regional threat. And faced with that reality, regional heavyweights are looking less exclusively toward Washington and increasingly toward each other. Iran will be watching closely. For Tehran, deeper military coordination between three major Sunni majority powers could alter the regional balance and complicate its strategic calculations, let me put it this way, across the Middle East, of course. Israel will also be paying attention, no doubt there, because this framework connects Saudi Arabia's security interests with Turkey, which is one of Israel's fiercest regional critics, and Pakistan, a nuclear-armed state that does not even recognize Israel as a state. And then there's India. New Delhi will inevitably examine what deeper Turkish-Pakistani-Saudi defense cooperation could mean for the wider strategic balance, particularly given its long-standing rivalry with Islamabad. But this agreement should not be mistaken for NATO, at least not yet. There is no publicly established integrated command structure, no permanent multinational force, and no clear indication of exactly how the collective defense commitment would operate during an actual crisis. And that will ultimately be the real test. What happens when one of these three countries faces a serious military threat? Still, even before that question is answered, the political message is difficult to miss. The next security order in the Middle East is no longer being shaped exclusively in Washington. That's very important. Regional powers increasingly want to build part of that architecture themselves. And the Mecca Agreement may be the clearest sign yet that this shift is moving beyond political rhetoric and becoming institutional.